Hello everybody, it's GirlGotGame and welcome back to Gilded Shadows. Today I'm starting my run of ARI's sweet ending. I have no idea how long this is going to take. This might be longer than one video because I'm starting like back in the prologue because I'm following a walkthrough for this, and according to the walkthrough, the recommended traits for this playthrough are confident, flexible, and emotional. So basically the polar opposite of what I chose for the passionate ending. And with that being said, the very first choice was the one I picked when we went for Ari's passionate ending. So right from the get-go, we got something new going on. I'll do some editing when there's like long tracks of dialogue that we've seen before, but it wouldn't surprise me if this ended up being at least 2 videos long, maybe 3. Because there are 14 chapters, so we'll see how much overlap there is. But anyway, we got a card from Trent, barf. I'm going to... This option doesn't really matter, but I'm going to throw the card in the bin. Burn it with fire! Oops! That's a great way to start this. I hesitated only the briefest of moments before I went to the bin and dropped the card in, listening to the sizzle as it was incinerated. Regret nudged at my heart, but it was too late, even if I wanted to retrieve it. A year. It had been a year with no contact whatsoever, and he thought he could send a card and suddenly we could meet and talk? Where had he been a year ago? 6 months ago? I pinched the bridge of my nose, trying to swallow down the bitterness I thought I'd already gotten over. When he left, I hadn't been angry at first. Not really. He hadn't done anything wrong, and being angry at him was unfair anyway. I don't know if this is... Okay, we can't skip yet. Okay, good. He'd wanted to do first-hand research on Espers for as long as I'd known him, and when he made the 4th prime tier, we both knew there was a chance he'd be asked to join a program in another city. Okay, still not yet. Just checking. There weren't many places you could study the so-called fairy Espers. So when the invitation came, it wasn't a surprise. I mean, sort of. I just hadn't expected that other city to be on the moon. Even so, it's not like I expected him to reject the opportunity. Not for me, not for anyone. But still, a year without a word? I'd gotten one message to say he'd landed safely and then nothing. Not a note saying where he'd be working or living. Not a single note to see how I was. Nothing. He didn't even break up with me properly. Even if he didn't think we could work something out. If he didn't think a long-distance relationship could work. I deserved some kind of closure. Exactly. Instead, I got a quick peck on the cheek at the station, and then... silence. I spent weeks hoping to hear from him. Something, anything. Months hoping he was okay and being torn over whether I should ask his parents or if that would be creepy. And now, out of nowhere, he was asking if I wanted to meet up? Because he missed me? What about when I had been missing him? A sour feeling clawed at my heart, and I took a slow breath as I pushed the bin shut again. Oof. Lot more conflicted feelings with this choice. No, I wasn't going to be prying back open that part of my life, much less jumping back into it. I shut my eyes and tried to quash the guilt. It was over and done with. No reason to regret it now. Any of it. Sorry, Trent. He had walked away. And, in the end, so had I. Happy birthday, indeed. Okay, that's probably... Yes, now we're cooking. Okay, so for this one, last time I did this, and we have to avoid this one. So now, what do I want to do? I don't think I'll join the crowd. I'll squeeze past as quickly as possible. I decided to do my best to skirt the crowd and not get involved in whatever was going on. Most likely it was just some performer anyway. I was curious, but I didn't want to battle a crowd just to get a look. Food was more important at the moment. At least, if I was going by how loudly my stomach was starting to protest the lack of dinner. Whoa, what am I looking at now? I slowed my steps as I approached the crowd, trying to find a way through them. There was a bit of space on one side of the path, so I headed that way. Not that that tiny bit of space made fighting my way through any easier. I got caught up in the edge of the crowd as a few additional onlookers joined and blocked my way. One man backed into me, nearly sending me face first into a shrub. Good grief! This is a safety hazard. Maybe I should call in to report this. Now that I was closer, the shouting from near the fountain was clearer, though. I still thought it might be a performer until I heard what he was saying. Is this my boy Rory?
You've all been lied to. You sheep that blindly follow the piper. Listen to me. We must stop the madness. You think you know the truth. You think you see it in the music that beckons further to the dark. But this whole city is a lie. The lights, the sky above. The ones who know the real truth are among us, though. There are kings and queens among us. Ones who speak the truth in whispered hisses, like snakes that rise from the ashes to scream reality. They're calling. They're calling. Do you hear them?
Kings and queens. Espers? Have I read these? I don't think I've read about kings. King-ranked Espers usually score somewhere between a 12 to 14.5 on the EA scale. These Espers make up a very, very small percentage of the population of ranked Espers, less than 0.1%. Very few King-ranked Espers are known to exist. They possess a very specific type of telekinesis that allows them to communicate with and manipulate technology. This includes being able to communicate with the nanosystem as well as the planetary AI, which can tap into and control every system and machine on the planet via the net. For this reason, kings are highly sought after by different organizations on the planet who seek to find, unlock, and control the planetary AI. Interesting. Pretty sure... I think we've read about this before. I'm pretty sure. I'm confident. The rest of what he was saying, though, he wasn't making much sense. And there had just been a report about another drug cartel, hadn't there? That was a possibility. Or that weird group, the Court or whatever. Their adoration for Espers apparently bordered on fanaticism. Or so I'd heard. The Court is rumored on the day side to be a strange cult with a near-fanatic worship of Espers. They are reported to have started in Delphine somewhere, though not much else is known about them. They are occasionally blamed for various crimes and incidents that no one else takes responsibility for. On the night side, they are known as a widespread group of Espers located in Sestressor. Sestressor, maybe? They are said to have some kind of ties with Crimson, and may even be a branch of that organization. Okay, I'm like... Because in my brain, I was confused as to whether Crimson and the Court were the same. So they have ties, but they're not exactly the same. Or they're said to have ties, I should say. This isn't widely known outside of that region, and some city-states or nations on the day side have declared them a terrorist organization and have banned all activity to do with them.
There are even some of them among this crowd today.
I froze instantly.
I hear them. I hear them whisper in my head. They're in my head. In all our heads.
My stomach churned anxiously, even as I told myself he was only spouting nonsense. I made a split-second decision to call the safety department. I think I've read this one before. Yeah, public law enforcement. The crowd aside, it sounded like the speaker might need some help.
There! There is one! I can hear her whispering in my head a song. A song that sounds like all the stars waking in the night.
A gasp went up from the crowd, and suddenly everyone was jostling to get further from the fountain. I was nearly pushed to the ground and whirled around to tell off whoever had shoved me. Hello, you. Only to find the crowd had parted, and everyone was staring at me. So he could tell that she was a queen. Interesting. My stomach sank to my knees. The shouting man was pointing straight at me. At least, I assumed he'd been the one shouting. An odd man that was standing in the fountain looking bedraggled and more than a little crazed. No, no, no. The man stepped out of the fountain, his strange eyes never leaving my face. I stood pensively at the very edge of the crowd, desperately seeking a way through them as he came towards me. The man threw his arms out to the side as he walked, sending a spray of water over the astonished crowd. How close will you get if I wait? Is that it? That was disconcerting. I'm like, hi? Not just a small spray either. It was as if every drop of water on his body flew off at once, leaving him completely dry. Fancy. My heart suddenly went into overdrive. Esper! The crowd tried to back away as the man grinned, still staring at me. I stood still in a completely frozen panic.
I pray thee, sing again. Mine ear is much enamored of thy note.
What? What do I do? There was a rush of wind, I blinked, and suddenly he was just there, right in front of me. Before I could even respond, he'd grabbed my hand and was pulling me towards the fountain. No! Let go! I tried to pull my hand away. I clawed at him, but couldn't pry my wrist from his hand. What was happening? Why was this happening? Let go! Help! I planted my feet on the ground, doing my best to stop him from dragging me towards that stupid fountain. Even as I looked around at the crowd, begging for help, everyone simply stared as if they weren't sure if I actually needed them to intervene. Or as if this was, indeed, all just a performance.
It's time to break out, to break away, to break everything. This city, this false sky, to break it all.
The man was still muttering, completely ignoring my frantic attempts to get away. As he stepped up on the fountain's edge, clearly intending to drag me in there with him, I braced one foot against the wall of the basin and yanked back as hard as I could. Let go! My head throbbed painfully. There was a sudden crack, the shattering and crunching of glass as the tall sculpture that was the centerpiece of the fountain began to topple towards us. There were gasps, screams, the sound of the crowd scattering. Horns blared as they split across the street. I was frozen in fear as I watched the heavy glass structure tilt towards me. Okay, who's my savior this time? Move! Someone grabbed me and pulled me to the side as the sculpture thundered through the air where I had been and shattered across the pavement. Both of us hit the ground, but my fall was somewhat cushioned by him. At the very least, my face was mashed into his chest. One of my knees smacked the pavement pretty hard, but it was better than having my head crushed by the sculpture, which now lay in millions of sparkling pieces around us. For a moment, I was too stunned to move. But the man who'd grabbed me was on his feet and dragging me away from the fountain. Everything was a blur of movement. There were sirens and more shouts. Guess someone called the authorities. The thought flitted faintly through my mind as we fled. I had no idea what happened to Fountain Guy, or really anything else. Oh, dang, it's you! So you're my savior this time. Okay. Still Endgame coming to my rescue. Before I knew it, I was standing in an alley alone with an unfamiliar man. He had his back to one wall as he looked out, apparently watching whatever was going on out there.
He got away.
I was shaking, and for a moment I simply clenched my hands together, staring at him. But I finally managed to find my voice. Thank you? For pulling me out of the way, I mean. The man turned towards me, scowling as he gave me a once-over. Great. Good start.
I wasn't in the mood to watch someone die.
Hopefully you're never in the mood for that. The scowl deepened. He didn't seem much for jokes. I started to move around him, curious about the sounds coming from outside. There was definitely quite the commotion back there. The man grabbed my arm, not letting me pass.
Wait. You shouldn't go out there.
Neutral, cautious. I'll probably go neutral. I should probably give a report to the officers, though. I mean, I'm the one who was... I hesitated, struggling for the right word.
Assaulted.
Assaulted felt a little melodramatic, since the Fountain Man hadn't really hurt me. But he definitely dragged me around without consent, not to mention having terrified me. I guess so.
I think it would be better for you to get home.
Without even talking to the police? That man
got away. He was an Esper.
My stomach clenched as anxiety washed over me at the mere mention of that.
He ran off as soon as that sculpture fell. Based on his speed, I'd say he's a rook. I hope you realize the longer it takes them to catch him, the more likely he'll have time to find you again.
I don't know why he'd do that, though. It was just a chance meeting today. He doesn't have much reason to find me again. The stranger paused, raising an eyebrow.
There was no reason for him to accost you at all. Of everyone in the crowd, he picked someone at the very back that he didn't even have a clear view of. That seems pretty deliberate to me.
I looked away uncomfortably. I mean, I couldn't really argue with that. Even if that's true, it's all the more reason for me to give a report, Mr...
Jung. Caleb Jung.
He James Bonded me. I'm Morgan Leone.
Listen, Morgan. There's more than enough footage of the incident, and plenty of other witnesses. If that guy's still lurking around...
I don't know why you're so worried about me. The safety department is already on the scene, and...
You were assaulted by an unregistered Esper in broad daylight in front of numerous witnesses. The authorities showed up late and didn't even catch the man before he got away.
Okay, I think we read all of this before. Yeah. Oops, hold on. My mouse keeps getting stuck.
Rather than going somewhere safe, you want to step out in the open again where the unregistered Esper who was instantly fixated enough on you to attack you in the first place can potentially see you again.
I hated the way he kept saying unregistered, like it was some sort of heinous crime, but I fought back the urge to say something. Mr. Jung waved his hand at me in a decidedly dismissive fashion.
Just get out of here like a normal person. Get home, lock your door, and let other people deal with this.
I wasn't trying...
Next time there might not be a conveniently timed sculpture mishap to save you. Stop trying to be a good little citizen and think about your own safety for now.
He stepped around the corner and out into the open, leaving me staring after him. Conveniently timed? Why did he say it that way? My stomach did another uncomfortable flip-flop. Maybe it was better to forgo the report after all. Like he had said, there were recordings and other witnesses. It's not like I had to file a report. I shivered and backed away, then turned and went swiftly back through the alley towards my flat. Setting aside the man from the fountain, I also had no idea who this Caleb guy was. He hadn't shown me any ID, and I didn't have enough system access to check his information if I wanted to. He might be an investigator, or he might be another weirdo. Definitely a weirdo. What the heck was with this evening? I'd only wanted a quiet dinner. I wanted to relax. Instead, I got crowds and strange men assaulting or being rude to me. I found myself frequently looking over my shoulder on the way home, but neither of the men were to be seen, though I don't think I actually expected anyone to follow me or anything. Okay, are we back? Not quite yet. I made it back to my flat without incident. Or dinner. Ugh, what an evening. It looked like it was going to be takeout for me. Oh, hello. Weather is beautiful today.
Oberon, it's Jackal. Target located and confirmed. Even got to see a little show. Show? Nothing much, just a little illicit telekinesis. Enough to attract attention. more than that, Griffin is definitely around.
Oh. Okay. Hold on a sec. Poorly timed sneeze. Okay, so we're getting messages from other people. Because Griffin is, Caleb. So they were watching. Who's Oberon and Jackal?
I saw him when the incident happened. Do we know when they plan to move? Probably tomorrow. We have to move first. Proceed as planned. Got it.
End communication. Okay. And then we can... It's the way that sculpture broke. Okay. Boop. Cross-reference. Shakespeare and mine ear is much enamored of thy note. Okay. And then on the news, the image was of a large sculpture smashed on the ground. Several officers stood around it, talking to one another and members of the crowd. The anchor began to discuss the young woman who had been assaulted in front of onlookers too stunned to react, and I felt heat creeping into my face. The image shifted to one of me being dragged towards the fountain by that man yesterday. So glad I woke up in time to see a humiliating image of myself on the news. Well, this was a lot more public this time around. At least they'd completely edited out my entire body, so the man was just dragging a blocky, blurred form around. Even so, I set the glass down and pulled up a visual of any messages that had been left while I slept. Nothing from my family, but there were 2 from the safety department. One, a response to the report I'd filled out remotely after getting home last night. It was one of those, "You submitted a form" messages. To which the only natural response was, "Yes, I know, I was there." Nope. The other was a notification they'd identified me as a witness and wanted me to come at my earliest convenience to answer some questions in person. I had a suspicion "it's not convenient" wasn't going to be an acceptable response, so I'd have to go down later today and take care of it. Hopefully there wasn't too much they needed to ask. They obviously had footage of everything that happened. There wasn't too much I could add. Beyond saying, "Oh yeah, I think I may have shattered that sculpture with my mind. Oops." And that wasn't going to happen, so... Navigating my way around that revelation was an adventure I hadn't been hoping for. My chest tightened, and I let out a shaky breath as I closed the interface. But I'd managed somehow. It wasn't like there was any evidence pointing to me. The news report didn't mention my rescuer. It also didn't seem to address the fact that the man in the fountain had been an Esper. How odd. An unregistered Esper causing a disturbance should have been worthy of mention. Instead, it seemed like they were pinning it all on substance abuse. The woman suggested it was evidence of another small crime ring related to Crimson. Crimson had been in the news so much of late that maybe it was more attention-grabbing to focus on that. I wasn't sure if that was good or bad. Nope. If you believe the media, every crime in Delphine had its roots in the Mafia, and the organization had its claws pretty deep in New Albion as well. Though I suppose I couldn't say they weren't the source of whatever drugs the man had been taking, because I definitely knew he wasn't behaving that way only due to being an Esper. But that was up to the criminal division of the safety department to determine. Everything on the news was speculation anyway. I just wish I hadn't somehow gotten myself mixed up in it all. Hopefully, I can skip now? Yay! I didn't want to reveal that I was probably the one that toppled that sculpture. Yeah. There we go. Hello, you two. What do I have to do with this? It doesn't matter what I do. So, I'll just pick what I did before? Yeah, that works. I mean, there was also that trick with the water.
And how that sculpture broke, too.
Okay.
We're assuming that was an accidental use of telekinesis. Possibly sparked by him getting worked up like that. From the way everything played out, we assume his telekinesis is abnormal.
Okay, not yet.
But it's hard to say.
To tell the truth, the way he fled shows he has some rook-like abilities, which would naturally put him pretty high on the EA scale. It would normally be strange for an Esper ranked that high to go unnoticed for so long, especially here in Cisalis.
Okay, there we go. Now we're back on... Okay, but now we didn't meet Ari, so we gotta tell him about Caleb. He told me his name was Caleb Jung. I'd never met him before. He just pushed me out of the way of that sculpture. I guess he was somewhere in the crowd and saw what was happening. I don't know anything about him, though.
Caleb Jung. We'll run the name and see what we come up with. I'd like to talk to him as well.
I didn't get any contact information, sorry.
Don't worry about it. In the end, you were just dragged into something that has nothing to do with you. None of it's your fault.
Okay. Thanks, Ruben. But it seemed like a face recognition search hadn't worked on Caleb. But why not? Every citizen would have a public record that should pull up a match fairly quickly. It wasn't really my job to find that out, but I couldn't help but wonder. But I got stuff to do. Did I flee my attacker last time? Hold on. I can check real quickly. I did. Okay. So playing along for now, I could have done before, but I'll get a chance to do that again, probably at a later date. So I will flee once more. Okay, so this plays out a little differently because we have met Caleb, I guess.
I understand that you're afraid, but we don't have time to sit down to a little coffee while we explain. You have to come with us.
Caleb? From yesterday? I couldn't even find my voice to question what was happening.
Ari, where's the car?
Another man had appeared at the opening of the alley and was watching us calmly. Ari, I presumed. Hello.
It's here.
Caleb pulled me away from the wall, keeping an iron grip on my arm as he pushed me back towards the opening.
Let's go.
What's going on?
We'll explain soon. Just trust us for now.
I'm not trusting you.
We are not the only ones after you, and we're under orders to keep you from getting hurt. Do you at least understand that much?
He was a little bit nicer this time. I stumbled after Caleb as he directed me to the nearby car. I wasn't a terribly willing participant in this little situation, but Caleb was far stronger than I was. Okay, we're in the car now. Exciting times. If Ari was an Esper, surely Caleb was as well. Espers. And also criminals. Okay. I had no reason to assume this was tied with what happened yesterday, and yet, it seemed like too big a coincidence for it not to be connected. But even knowing that, it wasn't like it told me what they wanted with me. Okay. Skipping. Flexible or stubborn? I don't think this one matters, so I'll just do what I did before. Okay. The building shook again and another shower of debris fell on us from above. Was someone firing from outside? But why? Ari did his best to shield me, but I wasn't interested in being protected by him. Interesting. He was a damn kidnapper. He didn't get to act chivalrous now. What does he think he is, some kind of knight or something? I tried to shove him away, but he kept my arms pinned. Let go!
Stay down.
A loud explosion rumbled through the floor, and several more shots struck the ground just beyond the pillar. Caleb fired back, though it didn't seem to do much good. I grabbed his arm, glaring up at him. I meant, why not teleport us out of this damn building to safety? I know you can teleport over long distances. Why not get us out of here instead of running around and hiding like this?
The same reason. A longer distance means a more visible trail. We would prefer to not leave a clear signal as to who you are with, much less where we've taken you.
Taken me? Stop talking about me like I'm a thing!
This is no time for a discussion.
It's so funny, because, like, she really put her life in his hands, I'm realizing now, the first time through, and now this time she's like, I don't know you from Adam, like, what the heck, man? That's pretty funny. As if to punctuate that, a shot from one of the others slammed into the pillar we had just left, taking a huge chunk off. Ari checked quickly, then looked back my way.
We're going.
Wait! He did not wait. He grabbed my arm, and together we darted from that pillar to a pile of rubble. Ari ducked behind it and pulled me to the ground with him. And there's the cool lady. And he's gone. Le poof. The sculpture thing at the fountain? Sculpture thing. Ah, the you're a queen. That don't make no sense. Queen rank Espers were supposed to have crazy levels of telekinesis. Knocking over a glass sculpture, even a novice could do when panicked. That wasn't something that made you think of one of the top-ranked Espers in the world. Even if Caleb had worked out I'd done it, that shouldn't have been enough to spark all this. Especially less than a day later. Besides, Ari made it sound like this hadn't been some spontaneous kidnapping, as if they'd somehow known about me even before the fountain incident. But how? And who were they? Endgame was usually the group sweeping up stray Espers, but they wouldn't just rip me off the street like common kidnappers. Their job was protecting people. Then again, if two men popped up and told me I had to get in their car because they were from Endgame, I'm not sure I just believe them. Ari and Caleb could be from the government, from some crime group, or who even knew. They definitely wanted people to not know who they were, though. But why? I didn't know. How could I come up with any solid answers based on the limited information I had? I couldn't. So, for now, getting away from this madness was my priority. I wouldn't feel safe until I was hidden somewhere none of them would find me. And even then, maybe not. They literally kidnapped me off the street in broad daylight and no one noticed. Okay, so... Rory's in the house. I'm neither of these things this time. It doesn't matter what I pick. I guess I'm going to fight him. Sorry, Rory, I love you, but I need to know everything. High music. I staggered back, fighting the urge to run. That was just asking to fall and probably end up hurt. Besides, I was up against people who could teleport. What good would running even do? But I wouldn't roll over and do nothing. Not this time. I stooped and fumbled in the dark at my feet until my fingers bumped something hefty enough to feel like it might make a good weapon. A twisted metal pole wasn't going to do much against an Esper, but I felt better with it in my hand. Backing from the open door, I pressed myself against the far wall, holding the pole, or pipe, or whatever it was. In front of me, my breaths coming in ragged gasps. I shouldn't overreact. It could just be a rodent of some sort. But all things considered, it was better to be a little wary. The shuffling grew louder, and any hopes it was a rat evaporated. Those were definitely the footsteps of a person. A lumpy shape stepped up to the door frame, but I couldn't make out many details in the dark. I was relieved it wasn't the night from before. The shape was too bulky, and they were moving oddly, sort of slow and halting. Don't come closer!
But I can only come closer and closer.
My blood froze at the sound of that whisper. How? Okay. This sounded familiar, but it's not familiar enough.
The whispers crawled in me, like snakes that stole my soul. I can hear him strangling all the light with his eyes. His eyes are everywhere. In me. And they want to be in you.
How can you be here?
There's nowhere else for me to be. I have no other place anymore.
Hi, Rory. The figure stepped into a patch of light that filtered in from somewhere, and a strangled breath caught in my throat. It was exactly who I thought it was. The man from the fountain. The Esper. But he was different somehow, changed. He'd never looked all that healthy, but now his skin had gone ghostly pale. There was a strange gold light that shone from his eyes. I didn't understand what I was seeing. Nope. What could change someone like that? Drugs didn't do that to you. Nothing should be able to do that to you.
I know you.
Yes. We met before. His eyes seemed to linger on the twisted pipe in my hands. Oh, no. Well, I'm neither of these things. I could drop it. Oh. Do I want to be awful to Rory right from the beginning? Maybe I should, and then I never hopefully have to be mean to him again in the future. I tightened my grip on it, unsure what he would do next.
They know you. He found you because of me. Or he found me because of you. He found us all the same. And now we're going to fall into the eyes and disappear.
What?
You could have saved me.
What are you...
Why didn't you save me?
Well, here we go again. He cut me off as his voice rose to a shriek. He rushed at me, mouth twisted open, eyes wide and gleaming in the faint light. I let out a very brave scream and swung the pole at him. Sorry, Rory! It wasn't like I didn't know how to defend myself a little. My brother worked for the safety department. He had done the self-defense things with me before. But that was different from actually fighting with someone that wanted to hurt you. Even so, I wasn't letting him grab me again. Bonk! Quick, hit him with a stick or a lead pipe. Rory, I'm sorry. I won't ever do it again, I swear. The man dodged my first hit, but not the second. It connected solidly with him and he went down. Okay, I would take that. I took off running, determined to get away. But unfortunately, he wasn't an ordinary attacker. He was an Esper, and a strange one at that. He was up and after me in seconds, and he was faster than I was. Something hit me square in the back, sending me sprawling. My weapon went flying. I tried to scramble away from him, ignoring the biting pain in my hands and knees. An explosion of pain screamed its way through my neck and scalp. He had me by the hair. I jerked backwards, twisting and clawing at his hand. My nails dug into his flesh, and suddenly I was staggering forward as he let go. I couldn't catch myself this time, and I went down hard under the ruthless pull of gravity and inertia. The side of my face smacked the floor, and everything went black. Did I die? Somewhere in the back of my head, I knew I tasted blood. I wasn't quite awake, but I could hear his raspy whispering, and that's what pulled me back into the world of waking. I wasn't sure how long I'd been out. 5 seconds? 10? He had me by the ankle and was dragging me down the hallway. Ow. I hissed and arched my back as my shirt dragged upward. Bits of stone and glass scraped across my skin, cutting into the flesh. Yeah, I'm like, looking at that floor, that would hurt so much. If I hadn't been awake before, I was now. Mostly. My mind was foggy. The only thing clear at that moment was the pain. Have to get away. I somehow found the energy to snap out a savage kick at the hand gripping my ankle, twisting my body to find something to grab onto. My fingertips were bruised and cut by the ragged floor. One nail caught and ripped away. I screamed in pain and let the frustration fuel my assault. I drove my heel into the man's hand and he finally released me. I forced myself to stand despite my body's protests. It took every ounce of willpower to not immediately black out. I didn't think I could run, but I was going to try. The man, muttering to himself, gave me a baleful glare, and I knew he was about to lunge at me again. Through my hazy vision, I saw it coming, but this time I moved towards him at the same instant, lifting a knee to drive it straight into his gut. He didn't expect it, and doubled over with a pained grunt. I shoved him to the ground and started running. And, for the first time in my life, I tried to find whatever Psy might lurk somewhere in me. I looked behind me, flung a hand out and hoped for something. Anything. For a door to fly off the hinges and hit him, for a wall to crumble and block the way. Instead, there was a pulse of energy that shot away from me and towards him. It struck him just as he was getting up again, and he hit the floor screaming. Ooh, sorry, Rory. I squeezed my eyes shut and kept going this time, fleeing back the direction I'd come as fast as I could go. I hadn't actually gotten very far into the corridor, not as far as I thought I had anyway. I reached the opening that led to the main atrium in what seemed like almost no time at all. The silence out there was unnerving. I hadn't realized it as I ran, but as I paused near the door with one hand resting on the wall to catch my breath, the sounds of fighting had stopped. Alright. And now we're running through the streets. I don't think this choice matters either. What did I pick last time? I fleed. Alright, we're fleeing. Hey, Jack. I know we're supposed to be emotional, but I don't have to worry about that right this minute, hopefully. Okay. And then we have to wait there and say nothing. Yes. Let's get to the endgame routes again. Okay. And then the tall kidnapper boy. Yes, I definitely want to go to Ari's route again. What happened? How convenient? What happened? Oh, okay. I don't recall when I woke up and tried to escape. And apparently that makes Caleb say, how convenient.
How convenient.
What was that supposed to mean? What reason would I have to lie about that? Huh?
Considering who you elbowed in the head, I can think of a few reasons, actually.
I don't even know who I supposedly elbowed in the head. Are you gonna leave? No?
Caleb, if you intend to antagonize her, perhaps it would be best if you leave.
Caleb scowled at Ari, but to my surprise did turn and leave. Ari sighed and returned to where he'd been sitting when I woke up. I squinted after Caleb, blinking my eyes rapidly a few times to clear them. Passing a hand over my face, I glanced Ari's way. Eh? Really, we're still not back yet. Interesting, where are we in the stream of time? Okay, we're in chapter 1. Okay, interesting. Is angry his natural state, or does he just hate me in particular?
Neither one. Everyone has been on edge since your attempted escape. In Caleb's case, on edge typically manifests as anger. It's not personal.
What in the world did I do that has everyone on edge?
You nearly concussed Magnus Ulrich, the highest ranked Esper in Endgame, by elbowing him in the head while delirious.
Ah. I was sort of hoping I'd elbowed Caleb in the head. Right?
Then you fled through the corridors and barricaded yourself into an empty room.
Right.
And you spent the next half hour throwing glass jars at anyone who attempted to enter.
Anything else? There's something else, isn't there?
I was eventually able to enter the room and relocate you back to your bed. However...
Are we... Okay, now we're back. Okay, so we're lacking the stubborn trait. Okay, so now we're actually at the ARI route choices that are going to take us down the sweet ending path. I think I'm actually just going to stop there for today. We got through the prologue, which was quite a bit different. Not really ARI-centric, but that's kind of the point, because we need to not have as much affection with him. How are we doing, relationship-wise? Ruben really likes us, apparently. Well, bully for Ruben, I guess. Yeah, okay, we'll start from here. We're in chapter 1, and we'll see how far we get in the next video. Okay, guys, until then, I will see you later.